Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to NFL Week 3 predictions. I actually have to go back and see what my record is. I haven't been keeping track of that. I'll have to do that for college football and for the NFL. I think I've been off to a really good start for the NFL and not so good of a start for college football. With that being said, like and subscribe, and comment. Always helps. Let's get straight into this thing. If the Dolphins win this, then that is why you don't gamble, kids. Because, my God, that would be insane. The Dolphins look like poop right now. And the Bills look like probably the best team in the league. You know, a lot of people still have, I say best team in the league, Packers. Packers look like the best team in the league. But the Bills look like a close second with like a little bit of a broken bridge gap in between them. They would have to like swing off a vine to get over to the Packers level. Like, Packers look really good right now, but the Bills look pretty damn good too. You know, that Ravens win should speak numbers. That was very impressive. But the Bills sit at the top of the American Football Conference. I don't know why I read it like that, the AFC. With the Chargers, the Bengals, and the Colts. And honestly, you know, the Colts and the Chargers look like they belong up there too. Bengals, not so much. Bengals are kind of just happy to be here. But the Dolphins sit at the bottom of the AFC, just in front of the Titans and the Browns. That's it. And the Dolphins could very well actually finish as the worst team in the league, you know. They already lost. They got killed by whatever they're called, the Colts, and then they lost to the Patriots, which the Patriots are a team kind of in that category for fighting for one of the worst teams, in my opinion. Dolphins will get absolutely destroyed if they win this football game. That is insane. That's all I have to say. Packers at Browns. Back to the Packers. I didn't even know they were right after this. Browns, you know, they've got a pretty good defense from what it looks like, at least for, you know, the most part before the Ravens drop 41 on them. But after all, that is the Ravens. Packers offensively, you know, Jordan Love's numbers have been good, but man, he can't hit Matthew Golden on that deep ball, and it hurts. I understand the Lions are still one of the best teams in the league, but the Packers can't seem to break 27 points, which is not the worst at all by any means. That is really good. The Browns are sure as hell not going to match that. I'm going to say the Packers put down 30 on this team, maybe even more. And the Browns are just not going to be able. They're just not going to be able to score points because the Packers' defense is where their strong point is. I really hope Jordan Love can hit Matthew Golden on the deep ball. It was open a lot against the Commanders, and Jordan Love just couldn't hit him. It was hurting my soul. I don't know if Jayden Reed is back or not, but once they get him back, that just adds on to this. Josh Jacobs is questionable. Tucker Kraft is questionable. So there's quite a bit of problems. I don't see anything about Jayden Reed here. Hopefully he comes back. At least I think he's been hurt. I've seen a bunch of stuff from him being hurt. I literally am just not allowed to look at the player's stats to find out if he was even in the game. Let's see here. But Green Bay receiving, yeah, it doesn't look like he was there. I don't know if his injury is super serious, but he's a damn good player. It'd be really nice if they got him back because then they would just turn into another level of explosives still, even if they weren't already. You know, the Packers offense is still very good. I just wish they would hit Matthew Golden on that deep ball. It just pains me that if Aaron Rodgers was there like this, if Aaron Rodgers had this team, there would be no doubt in my mind that this team is winning the Super Bowl. But he's not. And you've got Jordan Love, and there's still questions for me. Colts at Titans. I say there's still questions for me on the Packers, but I'm pretty certain, unless they don't get blown up by injuries, that they are the team to beat. Colts at Titans. Colts look really good right now. Titans have been surprisingly competitive in most of their games. Cam Ward made a ridiculous touchdown pass against the Rams last week, but that was it. You know, his receivers are really struggling right now. They'll definitely have to either trade for a receiver or pick a receiver in the first round next year. The Colts, on the other hand, Daniel Jones just looks like that guy right now. Give me the Colts in a big win over the Titans. Bengals at Vikings. J.J. McCarthy is hurt, I think they said, for about 4 weeks. Joe Burrow is hurt, and he will be out for 3 months. He just got toe surgery because of turf toe. And Jake Browning threw 3 interceptions against the Jaguars defense. Not good. However, you get a whole week of practice, get ready to go in this game. You're not thrown into a situation where you need to clutch up and win a football game. And even if he threw 3 interceptions, he still clutched up and won the football game in a sense. You still got Ja'Marr Chase, T. Higgins, and the seemingly good offense. The Vikings have a much better defense, however, than the Jaguars. Vikings could win this one, but I don't even know who their quarterback is. I don't even know who is starting for the Vikings. But whoever it may be, I'm trying to look it up right now. Oh, Carson Wentz. Interesting. Carson Wentz actually could perform pretty well there. Might have a resurgence. I'm still going to take the Bengals, though, because even with J.J. McCarthy or without him, the offense has been extremely disappointing for the Vikings, even with Justin Jefferson and friends. The offense has been extremely disappointing. Their defense has been what's kept them in football games. I mean, they got manhandled by the Falcons. I just don't think they're going to be able to put up much points against the Bengals. Bengals also will struggle, but they'll put on points because Ja'Marr Chase and T. Higgins. That's it. Steelers at Patriots. I wanted to pick the Patriots in this one coming off of a win, but they honestly should have lost that game to the Dolphins. The Dolphins had a run down the sidelines where Devon Achane barely stepped out of bounds that would have put the game away. And Tua threw a horrible interception at the end, which gave the Patriots a free takeaway win, and they still couldn't put the game away. The Steelers coming off of a blunder loss against the Seahawks, where they gave them a free touchdown in the end zone. That kind of just killed them, in my opinion. That just killed them. But I'm going to take the Steelers here. High scoring game. It seems like the Steelers' defense is not really as good as it used to be. There seems to be a lot of high-scoring games here. But the Patriots, Drake May is starting to look better as we go. I think the Patriots will put down some points here, but overall, Aaron Rodgers will have a really good game and win this one on the road. Patriots could win this football game, though. I'd actually be surprised if they won this football game, and I'd start to take a little interest in the Patriots. Rams at Eagles. Alarm sounds. I always want to make alarm sounds, but I know my mic won't pick it up, and I'll probably voice crack and shit, so I just say alarm sounds. I have a big upset here. I think the Rams are going to take the victory here against the Eagles. The Eagles have looked nothing short of not a Super Bowl team, in my opinion. Their defense, no question, is super good. But you're barely squeaking out a week 1 win against the Cowboys, where the Cowboys had multiple opportunities to go in front, and they were just beating themselves down with drop passes and a fumble in the red zone, and the Eagles didn't do anything in response to that. Eagles at Chiefs. The Chiefs, I don't really think they're too crazy good of a team right now. And the Eagles were up 20-10 in the fourth quarter. Mahomes just scored a deep shot touchdown with 3 minutes left. Ultimately, the Eagles are just a better team here, but still, Jalen Hurts is throwing 15 for 22, 101 yards over the air. That's it. 9 carries, 15 yards, 1 touchdown. There were so many tush pushes in this game. It feels like tush push can only tush push for so long before you run into an actual team like the Rams. Now, the Rams struggled week 1 against the Texans defense, barely scored any points. And then week 2, they were struggling with the Titans. They were actually down at halftime and down pretty far into the third quarter before they just took things away. After all, though, Kyren Williams, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, and Matthew Stafford, it is an offense. I do think the key to this one is obviously just contain Saquon, because obviously Jalen Hurts is having a hard time throwing the ball over the air. I do think the Rams will be up for majority of this game the Eagles will be up for majority of this game before the Rams take a late game lead, and then they just win the game. I think the Rams are going to take a statement win here on the road against the Eagles. Jets at Bucks. This is a cool game. Give me the Bucks. Raiders at Commanders. Jaden Daniels is hurt. I don't think he's going to play. And all in all, he did not look too good in week 1. Didn't look too good in week 2. Commanders are not going to live up to the expectations. Y'all, never mind. I thought that said he threw 72 passes against the Packers. That's overall so far. I mean, he hasn't been horrible, but he hasn't been good. There has been the Commanders have really been struggling to establish a strong run game, and now that Austin Eckler tore his Achilles, it is all on Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. And without Jaden Daniels as well, using his legs, the Commanders' offense is going to struggle big time, in my opinion. I don't know who the starting quarterback is. I don't really care to look it up because overall, Geno Smith, when he's not throwing 50 interceptions in a game, is a really good quarterback. And the Raiders took a good week 1 victory over the Patriots. Nothing really much there. And they played really competitive against the Chargers in a game they honestly played better than if they didn't throw those 3 interceptions. I think the Raiders hit the road here and take a victory over the Commanders. I don't know if the Commanders are actually favored in this. They are. They're favored by 3.5. But I will actually be taking the Raiders here to win this. To win this game. Falcons at Panthers. I would like to take the Panthers here to get their first win. They really turned up in obviously the second half of the Cardinals game. They almost pulled off a miraculous comeback. But the Falcons right now actually look to be a pretty damn good team. You know, if they didn't have kicker problems in week 1, they probably could have won that game against the Bucs. And the Bucs look like a damn good football team right now. The Falcons also have a defense for the first time in forever. And Michael Penix is cooking. I think the Falcons might drop a dookie on the Panthers' pooper defense, and the Falcons' defense is just going to give Bryce Young a really hard time in this one. Give me the Falcons. Texans at Jaguars. Upon first look, I'd take the Jaguars, but I just don't think this Texans team is going to start off 0-2. I don't think that's fair with how they've lost their games. You know, getting ready to go up in the red zone against the Rams and just a horrible fumble, which pretty much lost you the game. Week 2, you're up against the Bucs. You're winning not by like a lot, but you're winning. Your defense is shutting down the Buccaneers, and you just let up a touchdown with 6 seconds left in the game to lose it. I mean, they were down. It was a really back and forth football game, but you got up 14-19 with 2 minutes left, and then you just let them score a touchdown with 6 seconds left. These wins or these losses are super close losses to good-ass football teams. I've got to take the Texans here. If the Texans start off 0-3, that's crazy because they are way better than 0-3. But, the Texans here, I think they go on the road and take a win over the Jaguars, and the Jaguars drop to 1-2. Cardinals at 49ers. There has been some interesting optimism behind Brock Purdy returning. I disagree. Both 2 cornerbacks have been set to most likely play this week, Max Melton and Will Johnson. Huge news. We got super lucky there. Garrett Williams, I think they said, will miss 4 weeks at minimum. And even then, Will Johnson and Max Melton could maybe not play in this game. They could maybe not start. But overall, if I'm going with that, they do start. You know, Will Johnson's injury didn't seem too serious on the field. Max Melton seemed way more serious, but a pal in my real life made a good point. He might have gotten carted off because he maybe like dislocated his knee or something. Then they just popped it back to place and got it all fixed up. Not too sure, but I'm pretty sure they said he was carted off the field. Unless the source that I got that from mixed him up with Garrett Williams, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure they said he got carted off the field. I wasn't able to see because I was on the Red Zone channel, but it seems like Max Melton and Will Johnson are set to start, which is huge because they are 2 damn good cornerbacks. If they do start, the 49ers are going to have a really hard time because the Cardinals' defense and man coverage has absolutely shut football teams down. What's really important is we get the front line getting in the backfield. It's going to be hard, but you got to pressure Mac Jones. You can't let him throw the ball. Make him make mistakes by getting pressure in the backfield. And I think the Cardinals will take a win here. You know, the Cardinals offense has struggled, but it seems like they are about ready to find their footing. A lot of, conversation around Marvin Harrison getting the ball has been going around. Kyler Murray addressed it. Marvin addressed it. Drew Petzing addressed it. It seems like Marvin is set to get more targets. It seems like this offense is getting ready to start moving. But where it really begins for me is not through the passing game. Kyler Murray has been great so far this year. His only bad play was that interception. That was it. And I think the run game needs to get going. Trey Benson has been good, but outside of his one breakaway run against the Saints, the run game has been absolutely minimal, and James Conner is having a horrible start to this year. I almost wonder if it is time to put James Conner in the backseat and give Trey Benson the keys to the car. Let him go and let James Conner come in and take the second half of the snaps, take the latter half. Let Trey Benson work the defense. Let him get the running game moving. I think the Cardinals will have some explosive plays with Trey Benson on the floor and obviously Kyler Murray to Trey McBride, Kyler Murray to Marvin. I think they will make some big-time plays, and I think they'll get up kind of big early, like 21-0, or 21-3. And then they will just let the 49ers climb their way back into this football game before they score a late touchdown, maybe because of like a turnover given by the defense, in which we manage to capitalize on, and then we win the game. Another close finish. But yeah, sorry, there's a noise. I was like trying to figure out what the crap that was. Broncos at Chargers. Really good matchup here. Broncos are obviously starting off 1-1. Bo Nix has kind of struggled in week 1, found his footing in week 2. The Broncos have not won games impressively, but they've lost games impressively. They should have beaten the Colts. But of course that leverage penalty that sparked some controversy, I guess. I don't really know. But the Chargers have looked absolutely ridiculously good. And it is so damn funny because somebody posted, and I think his name is MVOS, and I love his videos. He does a great job. And he was a Chargers fan, and he said, stop being a Chargers fan. Don't fall for it. And as he posted that video before the season, the Chargers look really damn good right now. And right now would probably be the best time to be a Chargers fan. So funny to me. It's like how somebody could just speak it into existence like that. But Broncos at Chargers. I would like to say the Broncos get a win here against the Chargers, but I think the Chargers just look too damn good right now. They just look too good. Their defense has been giving teams such a hard time. Bo Nix randomly will just unleash his cannon and take a deep shot for a touchdown. So I think the Broncos will put down more points and make it a bit closer. But the Chargers offense and the Chargers defense, it just looks so good right now. They're definitely up there for me, like in the top 3 or 4 teams. I say 1 Packers, 2 Bills, 3 Ravens, 4 Chargers, and then 5 Lions or something. Yeah, 5 Lions, if I'm not missing some obvious team. I don't think the Eagles fit the scenario up there. But, yeah, give me the Chargers in this one. Saints at Seahawks. God, the Saints are getting ran through by our conference, dude. They are getting ran through by our conference. The NFC West is what I mean because I'm a Cardinals fan, if you didn't know. But they start off week 1 against the Cardinals, have a hard time, almost win the game, but they end up losing. Week 2 against the 49ers, have a hard time, almost end up winning, but they lose. Now they're at the Seahawks. I think both games were at the Saints. Now you're hitting the road. Seahawks got a big win against the Steelers. Seahawks are still nothing too impressive, and the Saints actually seem to have a pretty all-right defense. I'm going to take the Seahawks here, but in another close loss for the Saints. And it's almost like, Spencer Rattler isn't playing horrible, but it's like you took a quarterback in the second round. Why not play him? I don't understand because it's like it makes sense if you have a veteran for them to learn behind, like Russell Wilson to Jackson Dart. This is Spencer Rattler. This is like his third year in the NFL, and he hasn't really been good. He's not learning. He's just sitting on the bench. You know, you don't learn from Spencer Rattler. You sit on the bench. I do think Spencer Rattler has some potential, and I do enjoy that he is still starting, but it just doesn't make sense when you take a quarterback in the second round, unless he's playing that bad and he's that bad of a bust. Cowboys at Bears. Don't mind the Giants logo there, if you don't know how I set this up, but Cowboys at Bears. Hopefully that's not blocking anything. I don't see the Bears starting off 0-2 either. I think they get a win against the Cowboys and drop the Cowboys down to 1-2. After all, the Cowboys should have lost last week to the Giants. You know, hey, but they ended up picking the win up, and the Bears had struggled a lot against the Lions. They got destroyed after like all was said and done. They competed for a while, but then they just ended up getting blown out the door by the Lions. Of course, the Lions are a good ass football team. Week 1, they were winning all game against the Vikings before they let J.J. McCarthy turn into Jesus, which isn't a good look. But the offense has some potential. Defense just needs to shut down. I think they can do it for this one game. Chiefs at Giants. I believe this is our last game. No, there's one more after this, and it's a damn-ass good game. Chiefs at Giants. It would be so freaking funny if the Giants won this game. But the Chiefs do have a good defense. Mahomes is still a good quarterback, obviously. The Giants, you know, Russell Wilson is playing like himself when he was on the Super Bowl Seahawks team. But I think, you know, after that loss, that was your opportunity right there to pick up a win, and you lost it because of a 64-yard field goal. And I think the Chiefs are desperately looking for a win right now. I'm going to take the Chiefs. I do think Russell Wilson will cook and put down a couple points or like a decent amount of points, but ultimately I think the Chiefs are taking this one away. And finally, Lions at Ravens. Wow, dude, the Ravens have had some matchups. I would love to take the Lions in this one, but I'm going to have to take the Ravens. You know, I just got this bad feeling in my stomach that after the Lions lose in week 1 to the Packers, that they're just going to be one of those teams that looks really good against the bad teams, but not enough to beat the good teams, you know, just like the Broncos last year. I think they'll compete, but I think the Ravens will score a lot of points and ultimately win the football game. And that is all for me. Whoa. I'm skipping way too far ahead. That is all for my NFL Week 3 predictions. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like and subscribe and help a comment always helps. That's all for me. Adios.